Hi everybody, this is my second video forum post for my social work class, and I watched the TED Talk on what healthcare will look like in 2020 by Stephen Glasgow. And this TED Talk was made in 2014, but Stephen had it set while he was speaking in 2024, and basically just walked through what healthcare looks like in 2024 based on a lot of issues that healthcare was facing in 2014 and honestly still is facing. So the biggest thing that stood out to me while watching this video is that it is now 2018 and we are nowhere close to any of the standards that Stephen Glasgow said would be the case in 2024. For example, doctors being team players. The trend in medicine to be very specialized is something that I have read about a lot and actually am very passionate about, because you can go to a cardiologist or a neurologist or a general physician and get three different diagnoses, and all the while none of those doctors are speaking and they just don't work together, and medicine is just not very integrative. Versus I do think more and more people are starting to realize that you have to treat the body as a whole instead of just as a sum of its parts, because fun fact, everything is related. But so that was one of the first things that stood out to me. Stephen Glasgow in the TED Talk talking about how at his medical university they train doctors in things that will make them more emotionally intelligent. They teach them to kind of view the whole picture and not just look at people as their symptoms, but as people, and actually value their experience in the hospital. That was kind of the next thing that he really talked about, was patient experience. And I really enjoyed his kind of reference to this TV show House, showing that that's kind of how doctors are viewed, where they used to be viewed as people who just kind of knew everything, could do anything, their word kind of went, and then now we are living in a place where they're viewed as kind of cold, and people are very hesitant to go to the doctors because it's a terrible experience, and doctors are not very friendly. And I actually scribe for a neurologist, so I take notes while patients are speaking, and even then they feel like there's not that emotional connection. And the doctor that I work for actually tries pretty hard, but still he has to come and get on the computer and type away even as I'm taking most of the notes. So there's really just not that personal connection there. So the telemedicine example is something that I think is really interesting, and I've seen it used in a hospital where a patient had a problem that the hospital did not have a specialist for, and they actually video chatted with a hospital in Charlotte that had a specialist there, and that was really cool to have that healthcare be accessible. But even then, that was still in a hospital, not necessarily at home. And then the last thing that really stood out to me that he was talking about was just the way that they changed kind of how they measured how good a hospital was, and it wasn't just looking at like patient survival rates or the pedigree of their doctors, and that's really important, but things like the actual kind of seeing from the patient eyes experience, and then also measuring the success of medical universities farther down the road, looking at, are their doctors still doing well, not just are they really smart and kind of checked all the boxes, but are they now successful and happy and also have good ratings with their patients. Just really kind of looking at healthcare from a more holistic view is what I think the main takeaway was from this video, and something that I think we continue to need to work on in the healthcare industry. So thank you for listening to me, and I really enjoyed this TED Talk.